A little over 2 months. Sony ZV-E1. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome back. Please take a second to subscribe to the channel. Really give us a big bump. Our channel's been doing pretty good so far, up to 6,000 plus subscribers. So we can get to 7, we get to 10. Sky's the limit, right? But it needs that one little click from you if you're stopping by real quick just to check out the ZV-E1 because you're not sure if you want to buy it or not. And you're going to watch this video real quick. Thanks. All right, enough said. Okie dokie. I'm going to show the video real quick that I made outside and let you see all that. And at the end, we'll come back here and do a quick wrap up because I didn't cover one thing about built-in LUTs inside of the ZV-E1. So if you're not familiar with that at all, you could take a look at that. One thing I do apologize for, the ECM1 microphone, which is from Sony, on here rattles. So you can hear a little bit of rattling when I move around with this. There is a fix for that. It's a rubber band, which I need to basically somehow wrap around here to get it from making the sound. So I apologize for that. All right, let's go. Roll it. We're talking about this ZV-E1. It is so bright I should have worn my sunglasses, but didn't, obviously. All right, so ZV-E1, sunshine, S-Log. Let's see how it all works out. Dynamic stabilization is on, and why am I making this video? Well, it's been long enough. I've had the camera long enough. I've used it on vacation, used it for work, that kind of thing, and I want to give you my thoughts and opinions about it. And if you're interested in buying this camera, and now you see the new ones that are coming out, the A7Cs, and you're like, man, so many different cameras that Sony has. Which ones am I going to get? Which ones is right for me? Well, let's talk. ZV-E1, who buys a $2,000 plus full frame camera just for vlogging? Who does that? Folks that make YouTube videos can do that, but the average people out there buying cameras for vacation, for school projects, whatever you use your cameras for, who's buying this camera? Who is it really for? Is it really for you? Are you sure you want it? Because you have to be all in the video. If you got a little photography action going on, you want to have good pictures, this may not be the camera for you. It might be the A7C or the A7 IV, but this camera is not really built for photography. Up front, you gotta know that. If you ever owned the A7S III before and you want a smaller camera, this is your camera. So you're asking yourself, wait, Scott, wait. Come on, how bad is it really for photography? Seriously, is it that bad? Well, no, it's not that bad. There's no mechanical shutter, and it's 12 megabytes. So it's all right. You'll get some good photos, good sunlight like this. If I took pictures of these grass right here, pretty good. You like it, but it's not going to be the camera you bust out and to get good portrait photography, stuff like that. There's other cameras for that. There's no viewfinder to look through, so you're gonna be like searching around, looking through a screen. The screen's pretty good, but it's not the best in the world. I mean, these DV cameras are not made for photography. They're made for video. That's why they made them. All right, we are off S-Log into no picture profile at ISO 80. So it should be very clear. So if you're saying to yourself, all right, I'll get the ZV-1 Mark II, the newest one out. And you're like, man, I don't know, is that a big step up from my iPhone? Then you look into the ZV-E10, which is the crop sensor. And it's a pretty good camera. I enjoy while I had it. Takes good shots, good B-roll camera. Might be a way to go. But then you're like, full frame. That's where it's at. That's the look I want to have, is full frame. So, all right. So now we're going to jump up. Now you're going to pay. And someone's going to make you pay for that full frame. Or the dogs that are barking in the background. Either or, you're going to pay for both. All right, so now we're in the full frame mode, and that's what you want. That's what you're going to get. I don't blame you, right? This is how I'm thinking of it now. And I'll get a separate video about this, but it's either your phone, your iPhone, or your Samsung, latest and greatest, or full frame. I think that's probably kind of like what I'm thinking at. Either I'm all in to get the best quality picture I can get out there and do it the best I can, or I'll just use my iPhone, and it's pretty darn good. So the ZV-1 and stuff like that, I don't think it's worth the money that you could put into a new phone, something like that. So I think your phone would do fine if you're in that style of short clip videos. So easy and convenient, all that stuff that a phone does. But if you're going to jump in to buy something, if you're going to do it, go all in. Go for the full frame, and I think you'll enjoy it, and you'll not really regret not having it. As long as you use it. If you don't use it, then ain't like anything else in life. If you don't use the thing you bought, then what a waste of time, waste of money. So if you need photography stuff, I wouldn't look at this camera at all. I would look at the new A7C Mark II, or whatever else you're going to come out with very shortly, or the A7 IV hybrid camera, where you get good video, great photos, all in one package. It's a little bigger body, that kind of thing. Not the latest and greatest tech with the AI chip, but simple. And that's what I have, and that's what I'm still using right now for my photography stuff. But video, this thing can do a lot more than you need it to do. So we can go full manual on this thing and then rock out the S-Log and all that jazz, of course. But it gives you a lot of different options that you may not even thought of before. Yeah, you can do it in post, like cinematic mode, or what they call it, Cine Vlog. This right here with the bars makes it look cinematic. You can do that, easy, quick, boom, it's done. Don't have to do it in post. You can pick from other Cinetoned looks, gold, river, forest, all that kind of stuff, but it's baked in, so be careful. It's baked into your image. You're done. If you don't want to do stuff in post, then this is for you. If you do stuff in post, then you don't want to use this, really. Maybe once or twice, but that's about it. It's got other AI features. You can keep yourself in the frame, so you could set it up stationary, walk around the room a little bit, do some reviews of whatever you're reviewing, and it's like you have a cameraman following you around. Now, you don't want to get too crazy with it and fall all over the place, because sometimes it could look kind of weird, but it's the first step in this kind of stuff. We start things off very gradually. So it's the first step of getting a nice, different style look to your video. All right, so right now I'm using the auto framing feature of the ZV-E1, where it should keep me in the frame as they move around. You just want to kind of watch where your box is around you. Make sure you keep yourself in the frame. You're not doing type of like wild and crazy movements. Yep. Sweating. It's Florida. What do you expect? Oh yeah. Again, you don't have to, in post, do a lot of cropping. You can let the camera do it for you, and that's good enough, maybe. You have center, I call it center framing, keeping the subject in the center of the frame as you move around. So here, I'll go off to the sides. If I use center framing, the camera's gonna basically crop in and then try to keep me right in the center of the frame, or whatever subject you're using. Keep me in the center. So, vlogging in low light, trying to keep me in the center of the frame with, I call it center framing, but the proper name is this I put on the screen. Kind of move around a lot. I'm not sure what it's going to look like afterwards, but especially in low light. This is the kind of like talking and walking and trying to keep me, yeah, no, this is what I'm doing. So it's an option, right? This is why we buy this camera, right? The ZV-E1, low light at night. This is why we buy it. Let's pay all those big bucks for, because we want that ISO kicking in. We want it to be nice and clear. So I'm really testing this camera tonight because I have an f4 aperture lens. Not a 1.8, an f4. So it's got to work to do its job. So rocking only right now at ISO 12,800 with S-Log 3. So if I go up from this point, it's only get noisier. Let's do it. I'm gonna put it in auto and see what it does. Stand by. So center framing is off. I have it on dynamic stabilization. All right, ISO is right now at 80,000 still. We're S-Log, so it's all going to be color graded afterwards with the polyiming LUT and my little added extra flare. But let's see how it comes out. So it's dusk right now, pretty much. It'll get a little bit darker than this, but not much more. And this is what it looks like with an f4 lens. So that's why you pay the big bucks. I'm gonna go away because mosquitoes are starting to eat me alive. So let's talk about stabilization. Do we need to tone down this a little bit? Ooh, look at that. Let's talk about stabilization. I'm using it right now, and hopefully it kind of keeps the jitters at bay. It's not GoPro-like, it's getting there, but it's not completely GoPro-like. It's good for this type of walking, but if I do side stuff like this, it's not built for that. It's mainly for your walk. This is active stabilization here, so a little bit wider. It does a pretty good job, not bad. But of course, if you got a little more bumpy roads and you're maybe a little joggy jog, then dynamic is good. I've been using dynamic a lot just to test it out. I do like active because you get more of that view. I got the 16mm 35 on power zoom. Oh yeah, power zoom. Yeah. Oh, too close. It's a fun lens. I've been using this lens for a little while now. I wanted to get a wide lens for this camera. Oh, let's talk about what not to use. 11mm. That 11mm got me. So I had the Sony 11mm 1.8. Awesome lens from my ZV-E1. Loved it. Put it on this camera. Thought I was going to rock the world with this camera. Man, that wide. Put it on active dynamic stabilization. It crops all in. We're good to go. 4K, and I used it some on my daughter's Disney stuff, and man, what a freaking mess. I'm talking about you're holding the camera and you're moving it here, and it's just freaking out. It's trying to crop in the sensor, but it's jumping around, hitting the edges, getting all of that side that it's not supposed to get because it's an APSC lens, and it's just too wide, and it's catching all this right here, and it's jumping around, and it looks like so I do not recommend that lens for this camera at all. Maybe if you're stationary in a studio, not going to move, that's fine. But what does work, dynamic stabilization and HD 1080p instead of 4K, for some reason it works, it jumps in. So in short, the ZV-E1 is a powerhouse. If you like Jeep Wranglers, you kind of know what I'm talking about here. The Jeep Rubicon, let's just go with that as the highest like off-road capable Jeep they have, right? They got the Rubicon X and all that kind of stuff, but we're not gonna. But this is the Rubicon. It does a lot of stuff. Are you going to use all of it? That's what it pushes me to do. It makes me say, hey, you paid all this money for this stuff that's in this camera, figure a way out to use it. So S-Log is kind of new for me, so I'm trying to work with that. Not using it right now, but I've been using it for a lot of my other stuff, and I'm starting to learn it a little bit. But all the intelligent auto stuff, make that a part of your video. Figure out a way to make that work for you. If you're doing reviews, set it up, let it crop into you a little bit, pan out, move around the camera, get that effect from it. Center framing, if you got a subject you're running along with and you're trying to keep them in the center of the frame, and you need to make sure you don't trip yourself, so you're kind of looking around, that's what that is for. Or you're vlogging, and when it makes, if you're moving a lot of this, moving around and talking and jogging, and you want to make sure you're in frame, center framing can help with that. Now, it does get a little weird with the head and kind of stretching things out a little bit if you get caught doing stuff too crazy, but it's there for you to use. Push yourself. Learn the menu system, all of what it can do. It does a lot of stuff. Is that a soapbox? Am I talking to myself? Probably so. So, do I like the ZV-E1? Yeah, I do. Am I curious about the A7C? Because it's kind of like both? That might be interesting and make me wonder, Sony, you just make the ZV-E1, but you made it with the ability to take pictures too? Really good? And what's this stuff about the R? You can put the 61 megapixel into this small body? That's insane. That's insane. If you do that, you are bad language. Bad language. Also, why do you buy this camera too over any other camera? Why do you buy the A7S III? Because you know it kicks butt in low light. That is why you get this camera. Get this camera for low light. If you're not gonna do much low light stuff, then look for something maybe cheaper or different. Go get the FX30 or something like that. I don't know. But for low light, this camera was built with the bigger megapixels to capture more light for low light. So, as I leave you in this beautiful scene, if you got questions, well, let's go back to the studio and wrap it up with any other things that I missed that I didn't put in here yet. So, all right, back to the studio. All right, I want to talk about the one thing I didn't cover, which is built-in LUTs. So within the camera, if you're not familiar, you can add and download your own personal LUT into the camera. You want to use PP6 S-Log3, and you have an S-Log3 LUT that you always use that you dump into all your footage. Then you can go ahead and do that ahead of time and kind of like, that way you can see it within your camera. You have to go into, basically take your LUT, go into the SD card that you're using. You have to go into Sony, go into Pro, go into LUT, dump your LUT in there, put the SD card back into your camera, and then go into Manage LUTs, where you can import the LUT into the camera, and then you can use it. From that point on, you need to go into Flexible ISO, and you'll see this when you get into the menu system. And then you need to basically, you can pick your user LUTs. It's almost like a picture profile. You kind of dump that onto your image. Now, the good and the bad. It's a little bit complicated to do, to download, to get it in there, to use it. But if it's the perfect LUT that you always use, and you want to see what it looks like right in your camera, then it's a good way to see it right there and there, how it's going to look when you're filming your shot within the camera. If you tweak your LUT a lot afterwards, so I use a Paul Leeming LUT, so it kind of sets the tone, and then from there I kind of adjust some of the settings a little bit. From there, if you do that, then I would suggest maybe just not going through all that hassle, just in case you don't want to use it or you want to change up the look of your shot. Because once you use your user LUT, sorry, my fan's kicking in. Once you use the user LUT, it is baked into your footage. So if you don't like the way it looks, you're kind of stuck at that point. When you just film an S-Log3, let's say, PP6, and then you do your everything in post, where you go in and basically take the LUT, dump it into your footage, beautiful. And then from there, you can adjust whatever you want to adjust in post, some of the saturation, exposure, all that kind of stuff. You can do it that way. Or you can use your LUT and don't worry about the dump again part from your LUT. You can start from the way it looks and try to adjust at that point. All up to you, but Sony gives you that option to basically try to do a little shortcut if it's faster and you can see it on your camera. That's what that's for. So all said and done, is this camera worth $2,200 if it's not on sale or used? For content creation, I think it's one of the best ones in the game. This gives you that A7S III, good low light footage, great for video, in a small package. That's basically what it is, with better features when it comes to AI performance, the new, latest and greatest. I think if you find the ZV-E1 used, it's a good deal. I bought this used back in June, early June, off B&H for about $19.33. So I was happy with that price. I think it felt better being under $2,000, just kind of like a little warm and fuzzy for myself that it wasn't over that mark. And if I ever decide to sell this camera down the road, I wouldn't take as much of a hit when I tried to sell it as a used item also. But I have no intentions right now of selling this camera. I will use this mainly for all my video. Right now I'm using the A7 IV just because I'm showing off this camera right here instead of using this one. When I do my videos now, it's all gonna be pretty much from this one, and maybe the A7 IV will be my B camera on the side if I use it at all, but that's what I'm at so far. All right, so let's talk about everyone talks about is overheating. Real quick, real down and dirty, right? If you're gonna use this thing for like documentaries where you have it set up, it's gonna run over an hour or so while you're recording, have it plugged in the studio, then no. you need the one with the fan on the back, the FX30 or the FX3, which one you want to choose from that point. If you want to do long streaming stuff, I don't think this is the camera either. So streaming long YouTube videos, that kind of thing, it can overheat. If you do short stuff, if you just do stuff like this, where you shoot a 25, 30-minute video and be done with it, if you're out about taking short clips all day long, you would not have a problem with this thing overheating. It's only when you do long stuff. If you just do those long streaming stuff every once in a while, then maybe look into some of the third-party fans they're coming out with to help cool this camera down for long periods of time. That could be an option for you. Long video, if you like this kind of stuff, leave in the comments below. If you just like the nitty and gritty and get down short with it, then leave me in the comment below that you'd rather just me to get it done. Don't blab so much. But sometimes folks, when they're about to make a big purchase, they kind of want to see all the different flavors, not just hear about specs, what it can do really quick and then be done with it. They kind of want to hear from someone that's actually used the camera. They may not want to hear from a professional person all the time that uses cameras like this. They may want to hear from someone that is a content creator like myself, that's just starting out, that kind of thing. Again, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe down below, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm still trying to buy a Jeep, and so far, they're shut down. Yeah, they're shut down. I can't order a 4-door automatic. Silly.